Well, it seems summer has finally arrived here in the UK. Hey guys, it's Luke here and welcome back to another video. You join me today out in my M140i for something a little bit different actually. We're going to be doing a bit of a discussion video talking about the future of the M140i, whether it will be a modern classic or whether it has already become one. Now this car, as you might be able to tell, with the amount of bug splatters on the front of it, has been my car of choice at the moment. I am absolutely loving putting miles on this thing, and when the weather is like this, can you blame me? Absolutely not. So I think what we'll do, we're going to hop in the car and go out for another drive before the weekend ends and speak about whether the M140i is a modern classic.
Days, I've probably done about 350 miles in this car, and you know what? It's been the first time in a long time where I felt like I was on a road trip. I've been missing the feeling of being on a European road trip for so long. I planned to do one last year, but obviously that couldn't happen. But with the weather that we've been having here in the UK over the last couple of days, it's just made me want to go out and drive. Maybe with no end destination, but to just drive, enjoy the roads, enjoy the weather, and most importantly, enjoy the car. I've built this car over the last year to be something very, very unique, and all in all, since it's kind of been pretty much built, I haven't really been able to drive it, to properly take it to some places which I wanted to take it to. And even though I still haven't done that, just some of the driving experiences which I've had over the last couple of days have been amazing. It really has felt like I've been down cruising the south coast of France, but in reality I've just been driving on some standard country roads here in the UK, like what I'm doing now. But just the car, the weather, the memories, it's still starting to really come back. And even though that was really off topic, I really wanted to say it because I mean, it's crazy how happy a car can make you feel. And you know, that doesn't get boring, and that is something which is a dying breed, not just for hot hatches, for every car out there. I mean, look, naturally aspirated engines are dying out, manuals are dying out, and 6-cylinder BMW hot hatches have already died out. And the topic of today's video, begging the question of is the M140i a modern classic, is something which I truly believe. I absolutely love this car. Having gone from a Mark 7.5 Golf R previously to this, initially most people actually thought it was a downgrade. Maybe it was at first, even though this car is slightly more powerful and definitely more appealing to myself, hence why I made the move. People still thought it was a bit of a downgrade. But what will people's choices be in around 10 years time? Because I reckon these cars are only going to go one way. I'll give you a little example. The Mark II Focus RS, the 2.5 litre 5-cylinder monster from Ford. £25,000 new they were in around 2010. Look at them on Auto Trader or Piston Heads now. You will not find a car, a decent car, for anywhere below £40,000. So they're on their way to doubling their value. Comparing that with now the Mark III Focus RS, a slightly smaller engine at 2.3 litres, and of course a 4-cylinder, they're really not holding their value. They don't have that following like the Mark II Focus RS. Look at BMW's, the new M140i, the F40 generation. It's gone back to a 4-cylinder. And of course a big talking point is it's also not rear-wheel drive. In fact, it basically follows the same engine and drivetrain as the latest Minis. And no, that's not a bad thing. I think, like I've said in previous videos before, if these 3-cylinder cars did not exist, then those will be respected so much more. But the fact that they do exist makes it quite special, because the new M140i, if that's actually going to be a thing, will undoubtedly be a 4-cylinder. The new C63, you know, the car that was made to run the 6.3 litre V8 engine by Mercedes, the new one of those is going to be 4-cylinder. That's not a C63, which then begs the question, will C63s go up in value, especially the naturally aspirated Gen 1s? I think so. But even though we're going a bit off topic here, you can see a theme, a common theme, that these kind of golden era cars of the modern day are becoming fewer and fewer. I mean, manual M140i's are rare, and I never knew how rare they were until I was actually researching this video. There's only about 1,000 manual M140i's registered in the UK. 1,000! That, in the grand scheme of things, is really not a lot. Then you got the M140i Championship Edition, only 30 of those were made. There's just none of them around. Those two cars, or those two types of cars, will be very, very rare. And it's not like these cars are majorly out of budget for a lot of people. I mean, price ranges right now online, when literally researching this video earlier today, you can get an M140i pre-LCI with a few miles for less than £20,000. And that in the modern day is really not that much at all. But then on the other hand, you get a slightly newer, lower mileage, maybe rarer version or example of an M140i. You're looking at about 30 grand. Now, a base price of these cars new was about 35,000 before options. That means that most of them are kind of creeping up towards 40 grand. And no, they have not broken into that profit region yet, like what the Mark II Focus RS has. But give this, I'd say, probably 10 years, slightly long term, these cars will be worth money. And no, I'm probably not going to own one of these then. Like, this car will undoubtedly be sold by them because I want to experience more cars. I'm not saying that I'm selling it now, but what I am saying is I definitely won't have it in 10 years time. And I'll be frank with you, I don't think this is an opinion which only I share. I know a lot of people on forums have spoken about this same thing, which is great. People investing in buying one of these, keeping the miles low and still enjoying it. I mean, that's the best thing. I mean, this car in itself is my biggest asset. If I was to maybe not wrap it in this colour and maybe not straight pipe it and do a load of engine modifications to it, then maybe in the long term it would be a really good investment. And I think that's something which definitely other golden era cars, going back to that statement, are really feeling. Owners of those cars are now thinking, hang on a minute, my car's going up in value big time. And I think actually, with now all the new legislation and new laws and things like that, there are actually quite a few different models which are going to be going into that same bracket of, in a few years time, they will be worth money, because now the manufacturers of those cars have moved on. They've been forced to move on to create ultimately a slightly more dull car. I mean, that you will not find in a 4-cylinder. I mean, I absolutely love this car. And going back to what I was saying, I cannot wait to properly take this car on some adventures and just seek its real potential. I mean, I've taken this car over to Europe once before. In fact, in the snow, in a complete polar opposite conditions that it thrives at. I am dying to take this car back to the Nürburgring and really see what it can do now that the limiter has been removed. All of these things are things which I really want to do, and definitely what I want to do before I ultimately get rid of this car, which I can tell you once again will not be anytime soon. For a sub 30 grand 6-cylinder
Now, going slightly off topic for a moment, I can only apologize because the idiot that I am, getting carried away driving this car, I completely forgot to turn on this mic, meaning I'm left with no option but to use the audio from the other GoPro on the other side of the cabin. So I hope that you could kind of hear me in that, but I couldn't possibly do that again. That is something which I've been wanting to share for a while. I really hope it came out well, but that's not the point. This car, and like many other unique golden era cars, those golden era examples like I've been going on about in this video, they will become very, very valuable one day. Pristine examples of this, probably manual and definitely not art car themed, will be worth a lot of money one day. Maybe in 10 years, maybe in 20 years, who knows? It will happen one day, and definitely not in my ownership. But this car is the best car I have ever owned in my life. And I definitely am not going to be rushing to get rid of it, which I think is the same with many other 3-litre M140i and M135i owners. Absolutely amazing car, but please do let me know down in the comments what you think. What are your opinions? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And more importantly, could you hear me in that? So I am sorry once again for that, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do make sure you leave a like and make sure you subscribe for all the adventures still to come.